Well, the spinning silver dart is the very first thing that you see when you walk through the doors here at the museum. Join me now, Stephen Quick, Director General for Canada Aviation and Space Museum. How are you?
Great, great. The place is full of kids. We're having a great time today, so it's perfect.
And I can imagine during a March break and a few of the weekends throughout February, it's going to be crazy as well.
It is absolutely crazy. It's the best time of the year.
And we'll talk about some of the programming that you've got going on a little bit later in the show. But first, what is the Silver Dart?
Okay, so the Silver Dart is, this is a replica built in 1959, and it was flown by two people from the Air Force. The original was flown in 1909 off of a frozen lake in Badek. One of the things most people don't know about it is that Graham Bell, who also invented the telephone, was one of the key inventors on this aircraft as well. So first aircraft that flew in a controlled state in Canada. Very cool.
I had no idea that there was any sort of relation between the two.
And the interesting part is actually his wife was the person who put up most of the money for this experiment as well. So she was the pushing force.
Sugar mama.
Well, yeah, I guess you could put it that way.
So as I pass by the Silver Dart, we've got a number of other machines. How many pieces? Can you even put a number on how much you've got throughout the museum?
In the museum itself, we have about 67. In the collection, we have 145. So it's everything from 1911 all the way up to the latest jet, the CF-18, still in the inventory.
Right. So it's not just airplane buffs that are enjoying the museum. There are kids and families everywhere. What do you think makes it so fun for everyone?
I think it's sort of, as you walk in, you see aircraft flying over you. It doesn't mean too much to you. You walk in here and you see them all together, the designs, the shapes, the forms, and the stories of the men and the women that designed them, worked on them. It's kind of a wow moment. I watch people come through the door and the minute they walk in, they're overpowered. So.
Well, I mean, you don't very often get to see these types of machines up close, let alone have the information right in front of you to explain the history behind them.
Absolutely. The aircraft that we're looking at right now is called a Farman. This actual aircraft flew all the way around Australia. The only problem he had was when he landed in the field, sometimes the cows actually ate his lower wing, so he had to repair it. So that's the kind of crazy stuff that these aircraft represent. You
really have to commend the early pilots for considering the machinery that they were flying around in and the trials and tribulations. I wouldn't have thought cows eating your aircraft would be an issue.
Well, absolutely. So they're covered in a dope which actually tightens the fabric, which is like sugar to the cows. So the cows would eat his lower wing and he'd have to repair them in the morning. Plus, he's landing in fields, so he doesn't even know what he's landing into. So.
Right. I mean, with a plane this size, if you were to actually physically run into a cow, I'm sure that would create an issue as well.
Bad day for the cow.
All right, this is only a small portion of the museum. Throughout the show, we will continue to take you on a tour, and as we mentioned initially, they've got a ton of programs going on throughout March break and a couple of weekends throughout February, so stay with us. We'll tell you all about that later on CTV Morning Live.